LeBron, you've spoken to us about retirement more than at any other point in your career as this season played out. What do you feel like's left for you in the NBA?
Well, I think you guys asked me about it, and I've answered questions. Yeah, I don't think I've come out like, oh, retirement is coming. With my future, I don't know. Obviously, this is obviously we're still fresh from obviously losing, and
the Lakers were completely swept. 4 straight losses, no comeback, no extension of the series. The Thunder didn't even need a Game 5 to close it out. After Game 4, LeBron James stepped in front of the media and once again brought up the idea of retirement. And for many fans, it felt like a familiar moment rather than something new. A storyline he's hinted at before after tough playoff exits. It raised questions across social media. How many times can retirement be mentioned after a post-season loss before people stop taking it as a possibility and start seeing it as part of the post-game narrative? And realistically, is anyone expecting LeBron James to walk away from a contract worth around $50 million next season? The Lakers were officially eliminated on Monday night after a 115-110 defeat in Game 4 in Los Angeles. With that loss, the Oklahoma City Thunder completed the sweep on the road and ended the series without needing a 5th game.
Yeah, I don't think I've come out like, oh, retirement is coming. With my future, I don't know. Obviously, this is obviously we're still fresh from obviously losing, and I don't know. I don't know what the future holds for me. Obviously, as it stands right now tonight, I got a lot of time. I'll sit back, like I think I said it last year after we lost, I think, to Minnesota, to go back and recalibrate with my family and talk with them and spend some time with them. And then when the time comes, obviously, you guys know.
The Lakers were eliminated after a 115-110 Game 4 loss in Los Angeles, with the Oklahoma City Thunder completing the sweep on the road. After the game, LeBron James walked into the post-game press conference and was immediately met with the question everyone expected: what comes next? Retirement talk, roster changes, and his future in the league all came up right away. His response followed a familiar pattern. He said that none of them really know what the future holds, that he needs time to step back, recalibrate, spend time with family, and evaluate everything before making any decisions about his career. He added that once he reaches that point, people will know. On paper, the message is simple, but the phrasing has become recognizable over the years. Recalibrate, reflect, see what's best, time with family, all words that sound meaningful but leave everything open-ended. And because of that, some fans see it less as a clear announcement and more as a standard post-elimination response that is repeated across multiple seasons. From that perspective, it feels less like a definitive statement and more like a recurring script that follows tough playoff exits. A familiar rhythm at the end of seasons that don't end with a championship.
LeBron, in year 23, how different did this feel walking up the court, not knowing what the future holds for you versus past years when we knew you were coming back to play?
I don't know. I guess when you get like over 40, you start forgetting shit that happened. So I don't even remember many of the last times.
The retirement conversation has become a recurring media moment around LeBron James. After playoff exits that fall short of expectations, the question tends to resurface almost immediately. Sometimes it comes from reporters looking for the biggest headline of the night. Other times it gets amplified through broader media discussions that surround him every postseason. The responses, meanwhile, usually follow a familiar structure. They're open-ended, reflective, and leave the door slightly ajar rather than closing it completely. Talk of needing time, stepping back, focusing on family, and evaluating the future becomes part of the post-game message. Because of that repetition, some observers see a pattern forming over the years. Instead of a definitive conclusion, the conversation shifts quickly from the actual playoff result to speculation about what comes next in his career. Retirement questions, final game narratives, and long-term future debates tend to dominate the headlines almost instantly. That cycle can sometimes overshadow the immediate basketball discussion, the loss itself, the performance, and what went wrong in the series. And as a result, the focus often moves from the outcome on the court to the uncertainty surrounding the next chapter off it.
Listen, like I said, I left everything I could out on the floor. I control what I can control, and I could leave the floor saying like, shit, I mean, even though I hate losing, obviously, but I was locked in on what we needed to do. Made sure that I tried to make sure our guys would lock in on what we needed to do throughout the postseason, throughout 10 games. And obviously we fell a little short, obviously, but I mean, I'm not looking at, my year as a disappointment. That's for damn sure. Especially, I was put into some positions I'd never played in my career before. Actually, in my life. I've never been a third option in my life. So to be able to, thrive in that role for that period of time, and then have to step back into the role that I've been accustomed with over my career, over my life, playing a sport, and be able to thrive under that, and then just my teammates allowing me to lead them under extreme circumstances.
Let's talk about the basketball itself, because that's the part of the story that gets pushed aside the moment the post-game press conference starts. The Lakers were swept 4-0 by the Thunder, and the series never really swung back in their direction. Game 1 established the tone immediately. Game 2 turned into a double-digit blowout where LeBron spent stretches arguing calls and engaging with the crowd rather than controlling momentum. Game 3 was another loss where he struggled to find rhythm late, managing just a couple of points in the fourth quarter while shooting under 40% from the field. Game 4 was the elimination game. The Lakers showed some fight with a strong third quarter push and briefly made things interesting, but it wasn't enough to extend the series. On paper, LeBron's Game 4 stat line looks solid, 24 points and 12 rebounds. It even stands out as one of his better rebounding efforts in a playoff game this postseason. But context matters. Most of those numbers came in stretches where the game was already slipping away, and they didn't translate into control when the Lakers needed it most. In a sweep situation, empty production doesn't change the outcome. A major talking point heading into the offseason will inevitably be the absence of Luka Doncic. The Lakers' new centerpiece missed the postseason due to an injury suffered in April. Without him, the team lost its primary creator, the offense lost structure, and opposing defenses were able to key in more heavily on LeBron. That excuse has some truth to it, but it doesn't explain everything. The Lakers had multiple opportunities to adjust offensively without Luka and never fully found a consistent identity. The coaching staff didn't have reliable answers, the supporting cast wasn't strong enough to compensate, and the veteran star at 41 didn't have the same endurance to carry an entire series alone. That limitation is something analysts have been pointing toward for some time now. Another storyline coming out of the locker room is the discussion around role adjustment. LeBron mentioned after the game that he was placed in situations he had never experienced before, including functioning as a third option at this stage of his career. His comments reflected that shift clearly. He explained that he had never previously been in a third option role, that it was a new experience for him, and that his teammates allowed him to lead in difficult circumstances, which he described in a surprisingly positive light. But that statement also highlights a deeper issue. If he was truly operating as a third option, then the question becomes how that aligns with his current contract value and expected role on a championship-caliber roster. And if he wasn't fully comfortable in that position, it raises another layer of tension that can't be ignored. Looking ahead, the Lakers' roster construction is already complicated. Luka Doncic represents the clear focal point of the franchise moving forward. He requires high usage, ball dominance, and an offense built around his creation ability. To maximize him, the roster needs clear role players, shooters who can space the floor, defenders who can hold up on the perimeter, and finishers who can convert opportunities created by Luka's pressure on defenses. LeBron at this stage of his career doesn't naturally fit that mold. He still needs touches, still needs to initiate offense at times, and still operates best with the ball in his hands during key possessions. At the same time, he is no longer the high-level off-ball spacer or consistent defensive wing that a pure complementary role would demand. That creates a difficult fit with a Luka-centered system, especially when factoring in a contract that remains near max-level value for a 42-year-old player. These are the kinds of decisions the front office has to weigh this offseason. Do they continue allocating major salary space to a player whose style overlaps with their franchise centerpiece? Or do they redirect resources toward building a cleaner, more balanced supporting cast around Luka's timeline? The retirement talk that surfaced after the elimination game also plays into that broader negotiation landscape. Even if it's not an immediate plan, it introduces uncertainty into the decision-making process for the franchise. When a player hints at possible retirement, it naturally influences how a team approaches contracts, urgency, and long-term planning. There's also the personal side of the story. LeBron has the unique situation of sharing the court with his son, Bronny James, something no other player in league history has experienced at this level. That storyline adds emotional weight to the final stages of his career and makes it harder to imagine a sudden exit from the game right now. From that perspective, the retirement discussion feels less like a final decision and more like part of a larger narrative that stretches the off-season storyline forward. Financially as well, retirement doesn't line up cleanly with his current situation. His contract is still active, and the remaining money on the table is significant, making an immediate departure far from straightforward.